Don't trash our treasure! Woo!
Hi everyone, my name is Ed Pritchard. I'm with Miami-Dade County Parks Department. We're out here today for International Costal Cleanup with our partners from Biscayne Community Foundation and FillABag, which is one of 70 cleanups here in Miami-Dade County and one of very many across the globe.
My name is Ramya. I am the Director of Environmental Science and the Operations Manager at the Biscayne Community Foundation. I run the Foundation Citizen Science Program. Today we're out at Crandon Marina. We always launch out of Crandon for International Coastal Cleanup Day. It's also our inaugural event for our mangrove cleanups.
We also are kicking off our FIND-sponsored mangrove cleanups here on Key Biscayne.
We have a grant that we get from FIND, Florida Inland Navigation District. They give us money to do 5 mangrove cleanups every year. We start in Crandon Marina with the paddle cleanup in the mangroves here. And then we do 4 others, usually 1 per month, starting in September and then going through January.
Getting volunteers out here to participate in these really crucial events, such as Crandon Park here, to learn more about these really amazing ecosystems and kind of see it firsthand and how this marine debris can really impact environment that not only wildlife depend on, but we do as well.
We do them mostly around Key Biscayne. We have Crandon Marina, we do FillABag State Park. Sometimes we've done Crandon North. We've also done nearby places like Peacock Park. We've hit that park a couple times. Just basically doing our best to keep the trash in the mangroves to a minimum.
Our second time with tube. We found a long tube like in that island that was like really long, and like toothbrush, like plastic, a lot of that type of stuff. We found a bunch of like microplastics, plastic bags.
Mangroves are a really, really important part of the ecosystem. They are a nursery ground for a lot of commercially important fish and invertebrates and animals that are just important part of the ecosystem. They all play their role. Making sure that the place where they live, that they need to grow, is clean and habitable is really, really important.
Behind me is the bird island, which is a big rookery for a lot of our shorebirds. So we try to focus on that island as well, because that is another area where we see that plastic having an impact on these native birds.
Wow.
Tote bag that I...
Wow, that's cool. You're lucky.
So it is a magnet, a 750-pound magnet, which means supposedly that's how much it can hold.
Anything metal, this is going to pick up.
Anything that is metal that can be magnetized. One of the pieces of equipment that we sent out with knives, because when you're out in the mangroves, you find a lot of like trash wrapped around mangrove roots, or people have tied their boat there, and rather than untying the rope, they just cut the rope. And so you have a lot of ropes that are tied to the mangrove roots. We give them knives. They're bright yellow, the handle, but even if you drop that, there's so much silt, like it'll get buried within a matter of seconds. And so something like this would be very, very useful. So usually like lead, which is a lot of fishing gear, steel, lead, things like that. Fishing hooks, fishing weights are usually lead. Absolutely. You know, I think a lot of people don't worry about it because they're like, well, eventually it'll rust out and degrade, which is true. But until that happens, it's a hazard, and that can take years. It's very, very, very common to find birds with fishing hooks in their feet and in their wings, and then of course the ones that have swallowed them because it had fish on it. But the ones that are in their wings and their feet, they got tangled, and usually it's because they got wrapped in fishing line, and that fishing line a lot of times is attached to a hook because the hook got stuck somewhere. They, rather than trying to untangle it, they just cut the line and left it, and then that fishing line, then birds get tangled in that so easily because they don't see it. It's invisible to them. There are a lot of pigeons that hang out at FillABags on the beach, which is a weird place to see pigeons, but they like to be there. I've seen so many pigeons there missing toes and missing feet, and it's because of things like that.
Things like monofilament line, ropes, things that get wrapped up in the mangroves that can really have a detrimental impact. But we also find a lot of debris that's discarded from boats, even parts of boats and cushions and things of that nature, that whether it was purposely discarded or accidentally. So there's a lot of different kinds of that debris that the mangroves accumulate. But what we like to focus on, and let people know about is that small debris can have an impact as well.
Thank you all very much for coming. We didn't really tell you too much about ourselves. There's 3 organizations that were kind of part of this today. I'm with FillABag. FillABag is a beach cleaning initiative we started a few years ago. We set up wooden coasted beaches that hold reusable buckets where you can raise your hand and activate a FillABag station at your favorite park, beach, neighborhood, whatever. There's about 80 of them around the world right now. Started right here in Key Biscayne.
Everyone, I'm Ed. I'm with the Miami-Dade Parks Department, our Eco Division. Across the Parks Department, we have volunteer opportunities happening every weekend. if you're interested in giving back to not just our coastal parks but our inland parks as well. And again, we also do eco tours and interpretive programs. If you guys enjoyed going out into the mangroves and kind of seeing these ecosystems, if you want to learn more about some of their benefits, if you want to kind of learn some about the history of our areas, come out with us on one of our tours. And you can find out more about that on the Miami-Dade Parks website, miamidadeparks.com. That's where you can find the volunteer opportunities and those eco tours. And again, drop by the Nature Center and come check out our exhibits.
My name is Ramya. I'm the Director of Environmental Science for the Key Biscayne Community Foundation, and I run the Key Biscayne Citizen Science Program. Ed, Manny, and I have been partnering. This is our third year doing the Mangrove Clean Up. We do 5 every year. This is always our first one, and we'll have one every month. So if you just follow one of us on social media, we always post when and where the next one is happening.
Oh, my mom knew somebody, and then he advertised it to her, and then she made me come with it for community service hours.
And so please give us a follow on Instagram, FillABag, Miami EcoAdventures, Citizen Scientist, and keep in touch. Like Ramya said, this is the first of the next 5 cleanups, of 5 cleanups.
Is it hard to pull that on a paddleboard?
No, it makes it more exciting because you can see more. When you're up high, you can see more of the water and you can see the stuff under.
Oh, good point.
It's good for critters too, so you can see all the stingrays and fish and sharks.
What was the most unusual thing that you brought up?
I pulled up that tire, having a full-size tire like that deep in the mangroves, that's pretty impressive. That's almost, it's 40 pounds or so, so that to see it so deep in the mangroves is really impressive.
I wonder how it got there.
Yeah, just I guess maybe some of these tides over time and just pushing little by little until it gets in there. It didn't have too much growth, but it's impressive.
Looks like we have another boat full of stuff coming in, so if we got some hands still able to carry some stuff over, we'd appreciate it.
They look like irrigation pipe drainage, yeah, from maybe local drainage construction. Look brand new, fresh.
And unfortunately, because of the way mangrove roots are structured, they are perfect for catching all kinds of trash that floats in there. They're very tangly. They're almost like nets, essentially, or like sieves. So when the water flows through the mangrove roots, it catches all kinds of stuff that comes through in the water. So we find anything from tiny, tiny little pieces of microplastic to entire derelict boats. So there's all kinds of stuff that we find out there, and we're doing our best to keep them clean. If we happen to come out after a big storm, you'll find a lot of larger pieces. We often, after storms, will find deck furniture or patio furniture that has blown into the water off of people's docks or their back porches, things like that. So that's the only thing that's a little bit different. But for the most part, a lot of the trash that we find is the same. And a lot of it's preventable because we'll find, plastic bags, plastic bottles. Those are the 2 most common things that we find. Plastic bags in particular are insidious. They're so dangerous. If a fish swims into one, especially the clear ones, they can't even see them. They'll swim into one and then they're stuck. They don't know how to get out. Fish can't swim backwards. And eventually they will use up all of the oxygen that's in the water that's in the bag, and they'll suffocate. And then you have sea turtles that confuse the bags with jellyfish, because there are several types of sea turtles that eat jellyfish, and a plastic bag floating underwater moves and looks just like one. It's very difficult for them to tell the difference, and they'll eat plastic bags thinking that it's a jellyfish. And the plastic bags don't digest, they just compact within their stomach, and then they feel full, so they don't eat more, and then they end up starving to death because they're not digesting the plastic bags, but they're not eating more food, and they're just full of plastic. They're one of the worst types of trash that we find out there, and they're ubiquitous. Everybody uses plastic bags. People don't bother, using up 50 of them when they go to the grocery store. And, how well they take care of disposing of them is different from one person to the next. We're trying our best to educate people to just stop using plastic bags. It's really not that hard. Every time I go to the grocery store, I just use a paper bag if I forgot to bring my own reusable bags, which personally I prefer because my reusable bags all have handles and they're strong. Plastic bags fall apart, so do paper bags, and my cloth reusable bags are much stronger. I can carry a lot more in them. So we have a number of things that we give away, especially for this one for International Costal Cleanup. These come from the International Costal Cleanup organization, and they are reusable grocery bags, as I was just talking about. We give these to all of our volunteers, and they're great. They're perfect for carrying your groceries or anything else that you might have. We also have these bags, which are specific to our cleanups. We give them away at all 5 of our cleanups, and these are all of our partners. So as I said, I work for the Key Biscayne Community Foundation and run the Citizen Science Program. We also have Miami EcoAdventures, we have FillABag, Free Plastic usually partners with us also. Because we work with Miami EcoAdventures, we have Miami-Dade County, and the Florida State Parks, because FillABag State Park works with us every single year for one of our cleanups. And of course, Find, they give us the funding to do these cleanups. So these are all of our partners, and these are our great little bags that, you know, you can wear as a little backpack and put all your stuff in it while you're out cleaning the mangroves. They're very useful little bags. And these are made from recycled material. We make sure that that is a priority for us. We're not trying to add to the problem. We also have recycled notebooks. These are for the Citizen Science Program. I give these out to everybody, and they have all kinds of fun little, I don't know about you, but I love sticky notes, so that's one of the reasons that I wanted to get these for the Citizen Science Program, but these are made from recycled paper. So we also make sure that our volunteers are provided with all of the equipment that they need. We have gloves for everybody in all sizes. Protective gloves are extremely important to wear while doing a mangrove cleanup because there's a lot of glass bottles out there also, so you know, very easy to cut yourself on glass. Sometimes you find medical waste like needles, and obviously that can be extremely dangerous, so we want to make sure that our volunteers are protected. But even just the mangrove roots themselves, you have mollusks that grow on them, and the roots themselves can like scratch you, the mollusks can scratch you and cut you, and it can be a very difficult cleanup depending on how in the weeds you tend to get. So wearing the gloves is really important. We also tell everybody, you know, if they can, to wear a long sleeve shirt. I'm obviously not doing that, but I'm not out in the mangrove, so I'm safe here. And, you know, closed-toed shoes, obviously very, very important because we don't want anybody to get stabbed in the foot. We always have water for everybody. We bring snacks. I do supply a small number of very sharp, marine-safe knives, and that is because when you go out into the mangroves, you find a lot of things like ropes and plastic bags and things like that wrapped around the mangrove roots. A lot of people will pull their boat into the mangroves and tie it off, and then because they don't want to bother trying to untie it because they tied it too tight or something happened, they'll just cut the rope and leave. And so we find ropes tied to the mangrove trees all the time. And that's dangerous for a number of reasons. It's bad for the tree. It can cut off the circulation and kill off that limb. And birds or other animals that, you know, walk around and make their way through the mangroves, they can get tangled in that. It creates another hazard that they really don't need to deal with.
Just being a conscious boater, making sure that anything on your boat is secure when you go up on plane, but also following those speed limits and you know, taking it slow and being aware, because it's not just for, you know, your debris falling off, but wildlife. I mean, we have manatees, sea turtles that one of the major impacts to them, causes of death, is boat strike. Just being a safe, conscious boater, but also, yes, anything that you bring out, bring back with you, because we're trying to really protect our bay and prevent this debris from getting into our coastal environments.
Try to make sure everybody is as safe as possible, but also having fun while they're doing this. You know, we give them a very thorough safety demonstration. We send them out, tell them, you know, have fun, take pictures. The mangroves are beautiful, even with the trash. Unfortunately, like, they are a very, very beautiful area to visit, and you can see amazing and such interesting animals living there. You know, just having them kind of go out and experience that is huge for a lot of people. They won't get the chance otherwise. And then, of course, obviously, our main objective ultimately is to remove as much trash as possible and educate people to, you know, to stop using single-use plastics and reduce the amount of waste that gets into the ecosystem to begin with. Stemming it at its source is one of our main priorities.
What adds up over here is there's a lot of items, like big items, like we found those, like a punching bag and those big pipes, a lot of like marina stuff, and it gets waterlogged and it ends up adding a lot of weight. But again, when we do these paddle cleanups, these water-based cleanups, there's quite a bit, and it adds up over time. I think last year, the effort that we had for the Key Biscayne paddle cleanups was over 2,000 pounds worth of debris that was removed. So it's really an effort, and the purpose of this also is to get folks out here.
People out there like really trying their best to make a difference, fix the problems that exist. You would hope that somebody watching that would be inspired to be like, to not be part of the problem, you know? You know, you never know for sure. If they're not actually participating, you can only hope that you're, you know, reaching them in some other way. But that's always the goal. You know, that's always the hope that we can reach them.
So Crandon Marina is one of our regular sites that we clean up at. For ICC, International Costal Cleanup, we have this spot as well as a cleanup happening concurrently on the ocean side, run through our Miami EcoAdventures programs. But we also clean Crandon Marina quite a bit, not just our groups, but other entities such as Miami Waterkeeper come out here on a monthly basis because it's really an important area and an easy launch site. And there's a lot of ground to cover as we go all the way down to the other side of Crandon Park here.
The next one is October 26th. It's going to be a spooky cleanup. Don't trash our treasure!